बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अस्सलाम वालेकुम। 2025 के लाहौर का हाई कोर्ट बुलेटिन में खुशामदीद। और ये मैं इंशाल्लाह पूरा का पूरा रिकॉर्ड करने वाली हूँ। थोड़ा टाइम पहले मैंने एक कोर्स स्टार्ट किया था, ये बुलेटिन पिछले साल का शायद, लेकिन वो मैं कंप्लीट नहीं कर पाई हूँ किसी वजह से। लेकिन अब इंशाल्लाह करूँगी इसको, ये 2025 का बुलेटिन। और ये फोर्टनाइटली अपलोड होता है लाहौर हाई कोर्ट की वेबसाइट पे। इसमें जो जजमेंट्स, जो पूरे 15 दिन में जितनी भी जजमेंट्स पास हुई होती हैं ना, वो सारी की सारी का फैक्ट्स, फिर उसके इश्यूज, एनालिसिस और कंक्लूजन। इन शॉर्ट ये एक पेज पे एक जजमेंट का क्रक्स लिखा होता है। और बाकी पूरी जजमेंट भी आपको यहाँ पर, अगर हम ये इसको ओपन करें लिंक को, तो ये आपको फुल जजमेंट भी यहाँ पर मिल जाएगी। सॉरी, इसमें नेट नहीं है तो नेट से चलेगी, तो वो भी आपको पूरी की पूरी मिल जाएगी। इससे ये होता है कि आपको पूरी जजमेंट नहीं पढ़नी पड़ती, जो भी आपको जिस हवाले से आप ढूंढ रहे हो कोई भी जजमेंट, तो वो इजीली मिल जाती है। थोड़ा सा आप करेक्ट पढ़ रहे हैं, आपको आइडिया हो जाएगा आपको क्या चाहिए। चलें जी, शुरू करते हैं। मैं केसेस के टाइटल्स नहीं पढ़ूंगी क्योंकि वो याद भी नहीं रहते और पढ़ने का फ़ायदा भी नहीं है। फैक्ट से शुरू करते हैं। द रिस्पोंडेंट फाइल्ड अ पिटीशन बिफोर द लाहौर हाई कोर्ट इन्वोकिंग इट्स जुरिस्डिक्शन एज अ कंपनी बेंच अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट 2017। अच्छा, ये मैं पढ़ूंगी सारा और उसके बाद फिर इसको एक्सप्लेन कर दूँगी। जो मुश्किल है, एक एक लाइन को एक्सप्लेन नहीं करूँगी क्योंकि फिर वीडियो बहुत लंबी हो जाएगी और मैं फोर्टनाइटली एक ही वीडियो में रिकॉर्ड करने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ। द पिटीशन फाइल्ड an application under Section 34 of the Arbitration Act 1940 Arbitration Act seeking for referring the matter to arbitration, but the company bench dismissed the petitioner's application. Consequently, the petitioner have filed a petition for leave to appeal. Issues: what are the purposes of arbitration and how it is vital for our country and our judicial system. Whether right to arbitrate cannot be imposed by a person who is not a party to the agreement. Whether the award is to be filed in the civil court or the company bench of the High Court. What is difference between civil courts of general jurisdiction and civil courts of special jurisdiction? Whether a court established under the Companies Act qualifies as a civil court. What does term pro arbitration bias reflects? Analysis by prioritizing arbitration, court uphold the principle of party autonomy and reinforce the parties' choice to resolve their dispute outside traditional litigation. This approach not only respects their agreement but also addresses the inefficiencies inherent in conventional judicial proceeding. Courts should adopt a resolute stance of non-interference, encouraging arbitration and other forms of alternative dispute resolution (ADR), such as mediation, as the preferred modes of resolving dispute. The judicial mindset is particularly vital for our country, where an overburdened judicial system and work-going case backlogs impose immense economic cost on both the judiciary and society. By respecting arbitration agreements and fostering an environment conducive to swift dispute resolution, courts can play a pivotal role in alleviating the crisis. Courts in Pakistan must therefore embrace this ethos, recognizing that promoting arbitration is not merely a legal necessity but also an economic and commercial imperative for ensuring the country's progress and prosperity. Clause 1 of the agreement explicitly provides that QALCO shall relinquish all its rights in KKR and transfer all of its existing shares in Kasur Rana Resource Pvt Limited, including shares of nominee director, to Mr. Atif Naeem Rana, CEO or nominee of the same. Pursuant to this clause, the shares were transferred to the petitioner Samin Naeem Rana, who acted as the nominee of the petitioner Atif Naeem Rana, a party and signatory to the agreement containing the arbitration clause. Thus, Samin Naeem Rana derives his rights and title in transferred share under the and through Asif Naeem Rana. Accordingly, he is subject to all rights and obligations arising from agreement signed by Atif Naeem Rana, including the right to enforce the arbitration clause contained therein. As per Section 14, subclause 2 of the Arbitration Act, the award made by an arbitrator is to be filed in court, and the court is as defined in Section 2C of the Arbitration Act, means a civil court having jurisdiction to decide the question forming the subject matter of the reference to arbitration if the same had been subject matter of a suit. The question of law before us, therefore, is whether the court, i.e., a company bench of the High Court established by the Companies Act, qualifies as a civil court having jurisdiction to decide the question forming the subject matter of the reference to arbitration if the same had been the subject matter of a suit. Generally, a civil court is a court that has jurisdiction to adjudicate disputes between individual to entities concerning their civil rights and obligations. Accordingly, the civil courts established under the Civil Courts Ordinance 1962 are referred to as general courts of civil jurisdiction or general civil courts, as they have been conferred jurisdiction under Section 9 of the Code of Civil Procedure 1908 to try all sorts of civil nature except those whose cognizance is expressly or impliedly barred. Conversely, courts such as banking courts, consumer courts, and labor courts, it is established under different situations, statutes, and conferred jurisdiction by those statutes to deal with specific matters are referred to as civil courts of special jurisdiction or special civil courts. The dispute in the present case, as well as the subject matter of the reference to arbitration, pertains to the alleged fraudulent transfer of shares and the ratification of the register of members shareholders 15, which falls exclusively within the jurisdiction of the court established under the Companies Act 16. Accordingly, we accept the request of learned counsel for the parties and direct that the award made by the arbitrator be filed before the company bench for further proceedings in accordance with the Arbitration Act. The latter view also aligns with the provision of Section 20 of the Arbitration Act, which permits an application to file an arbitration agreement in a court having jurisdiction over the matter to which the arbitration agreement relates. Such a court may either be a civil court of original jurisdiction or a civil court with special jurisdiction over the relevant matter. It is quite common that the legislature from time to time carves out specific matter from the general jurisdiction of civil court established under the Civil Courts Ordinance 1962, either to ensure their expeditious resolution to address the need for specialized expertise. Jurisdiction over such matters is conferred upon special courts established for this purpose. However, the fact that these matters are adjudicated by special civil courts established under special laws rather than by general civil courts established under the general law does not alter their classification as civil matters, nor does it change the nature of civil rights or obligations involved. If the term civil courts in Section 2C of the Arbitration Act were interpreted to refer exclusively to civil courts of general jurisdiction, all civil matters adjudicatable by special court under specific laws would fall outside the scope of the Arbitration Act. Such an interpretation would preclude applications for filing award or arbitration agreements in courts having special jurisdiction over the relevant matters, thereby frustrating the legislative intent and purpose of Arbitration Act, which is to provide an alternative dispute resolution mechanism in civil matters. Section 2, Clause C of the Arbitration Act excludes from the definition of court only on civil court of special jurisdiction, namely the small cause court, and no other civil court. Courts exercising civil jurisdiction in relation to specific matters, such as courts established under the Companies Act, cannot be read into the exception clause of Section 2, Clause C of Arbitration Act. Therefore, it is our considered view that the term civil court mentioned in Section 2, Subclause C of the Arbitration Act does not refer exclusively to civil courts of general jurisdiction but also encompass civil courts of special jurisdiction. This conclusion aligns with the pro-arbitration bias firmly established in the enforcement of international arbitral awards, which is our considered view is equally applicable to domestic disputes where parties agree to take their disputes to arbitration. They expect the court to hold them to their bargain. It is underlined that the words bias used in the work pro arbitration bias is not used in the negative or prejudicial sense. Instead, it reflects a judicial and a policy inclination towards supporting arbitration as a preferred method for resolving disputes. This tendency arises from recognizing arbitration's benefits such as efficiency, flexibility, and ability to deliver tailored outcomes. Applying this pro-arbitration bias to domestic arbitration advances the overwhelming objectives of arbitration law, including efficiency, party autonomy, and minimizing judicial influence, requiring a party to an arbitration agreement to first approach a civil court of general jurisdiction for enforcement of the arbitration agreement, and then, if the arbitral proceeding fail to revert to a court of special jurisdiction, introduces unnecessary delay, inconvenience, and expense. Such a convoluted process undermines the purpose of arbitration as an expeditious and cost effective mechanism for dispute resolution. Adopting a pro arbitration bias in domestic dispute is also essential to addressing the challenges posed by the overwhelming backlog of cases in our judicial system, particularly at the level of courts of original jurisdiction, trial courts. Conclusion. See above analysis number 1. A right to arbitrator can be enforced by a person who is not a party to agreement, but she derives the rights and title from the agreement. The award is to be filed in company bench of the High Court. See above for analysis. ये सारा का सारा जो जजमेंट है ना आर्बिट्रेटर के हवाले से, क्या आर्बिट्रेटर के पास और राइट टू आर्बिट्रेट कैन बी इन्फोर्स्ड बाय पर्सन हु इज नॉट अ पार्टी टू अग्रीमेंट बट ही शी ड्राइव्स हिज राइट अ टाइटल फ्रॉम द अग्रीमेंट। अगर अग्रीमेंट से किसी को कोई राइट ड्राइव हो रहा है तो वो आर्बिट्रेशन के पास उस आर्बिट्रेशन अग्रीमेंट के तहत अपना राइट ले सकता है। और रही बात जुरिस्डिक्शन की, तो जो भी कोर्ट है उसकी जुरिस्डिक्शन में आती है, मतलब कंपनी जहाँ सिचुएट कर रही होगी उसी कोर्ट में ही वो फाइल की जाएगी। इसके लिए अगर कोई स्पेशल कोर्ट की जगह पर नहीं है आर्बिट्रेशन कोर्ट, जनरल कोर्ट में फाइल किया जा सकता है। इन शॉर्ट इसका यही मतलब है, जो मुझे समझ आया। अच्छा जी, अगले जजमेंट है फैक्ट्स। पेटिशनर वाज ट्राइड इन 3 सेपरेट FIRs. ऑन कंक्लूजन ऑफ ईच ट्रायल ही वाज कन्विक्टेड and sentenced to imprisonment for several terms, including life imprisonment. Feeling aggrieved, he filed appeals before the High Court, which were dismissed by means of the impugned judgments. Hence, these petitions for leave to appeal. Issue: whether sentence award to a convict can be directed to have run concurrently, in whose favor courts are required to exercise direction. ये इंटरव्यू का क्वेश्चन भी है कि अगर कोई सेंटेंस अवार्ड की गई है कन्विक्ट, तो फिर क्या उससे वो दोनों एक साथ चल सकती हैं या फिर अलग अलग चलेगी, कंकरेंटली चलेंगी या फिर कंसेक्टिवली चलेगी। इन हुज फेवर कोर्ट्स आर रिक्वायर्ड टू एक्सरसाइज डिस्क्रेशन। कोर्ट्स की डिस्क्रेशन होती है कि वो कंकरेंट जुरिस्डिक्शन चलाए या फिर एग्जीक्यूशन करे या फिर कंसेक्टिव। अंडर सेक्शन 397 CRPC, the court has power to direct that sentence awarded to the petitioner in the FIRs shall run concurrently. In Must Samaj Shaista Bibi, this court has held that sentences of imprisonment for life awarded at the same trial or in 2 different trials have run concurrently. It is always expected that the courts are required to exercise its discretion in favor of accused, especially in the case of minors, unless the circumstances demand otherwise. Conclusion. Court has power to direct that sentences awarded to convict to have run concurrently. Courts are required to exercise discretion in favor of accused. मतलब अगर किसी को 2 पनिशमेंट दी गई है और 3 साल एक सज़ा दी गई है केस में, 3 साल दूसरे केस में सज़ा दी गई, तो कंसेक्टिव का मतलब ये होता है कि अब 3 साल वाली पहले ख़त्म होगी, फिर अगले 3 साल बाद दूसरी शुरू होगी और फिर ख़त्म होगी, यानी टोटल 6 साल की सज़ा हो जाएगी। लेकिन जो कंकरेंट होती है, कंकरेंट का मतलब होता है कि इकट्ठी सज़ा चलेगी, यानी कि अगर 3-3 साल की 2 सज़ाएँ दी गई हैं तो वो दोनों सज़ाएँ इकट्ठी चलेंगी और 3 साल में ही वो सज़ा एंड हो जाएगी टोटल। तो ये कोर्ट की डिस्क्रिप्शन होती है और कोर्ट की डिस्क्रिप्शन क्या है कि अक्यूज पे फेवर में जाएगी। Facts. The facts of the case are that petitioner, being unmarried, eldest daughter of a deceased government officer, prayed for her share in the family pension. The petitioner challenged the dismissal of her application for lower fora, asserting her entitlement as per amended rules. Issues: what is the purpose of the summary procedure under section 373 of the Succession Act 1925? Does the issuance of a succession certificate under the Succession Act 1925 constitute a final and conclusive determination of rights? When can a court refuse to grant succession certificate? Can successive applications for a succession certificate be filed under the Succession Act 1925? Whether the provisions of the Code of Civil Procedure 1908 apply to matters governed by the Succession Act 1925? Does the eldest unmarried daughter of deceased government officer have a right to draw family pension under the amended Balochistan Civil Services Pension Rules 1999. Analysis. Section 373 of the Act provides a simplified procedure for the trial to be followed while granting or refusing to grant a certificate. The procedure is summary in nature, only to determine a prima facie entitlement of an applicant to receive the property of a deceased and to distribute the same amongst all those who are legally entitled to receive their respective share. The object of summary trial provided by the Act is to shorten the course of trial in order to ensure that justice is delivered swiftly, as so as to facilitate an applicant in order to get a certificate at the earliest without compromising on the principles of natural justice and fair trial. The certificate is granted for a limited purpose and for a limited sphere. Therefore, it is not a final and conclusive decision between the parties or those who are entitled to get their share from the leftover property of a deceased. The court is bound to decide the application by adopting a procedure provided by Section 323 of the Act while granting a certificate to an applicant, provided he makes out a prima facie title to the subject matter of the certificate. Where the court considers that a question of title is involved which cannot be disposed of summarily on the basis of available material, it may refuse to grant a certificate and allow the parties to establish their right by filing a regular suit before a component court of law. A judge is empowered to issue more than one certificates as provided by subsection 3 of section 372 and subsection 3 and 4 of section 373 of the Act. The Act placed no limitation upon the right of the parties in filing more than one application. Therefore, any decision made under Part 10 upon any question of right between the parties shall not bar the trial of the same related question in any subsequent proceedings under this Act or in any suit or other proceedings between the same parties. The Act does not restrict a person from filing application in respect of a portion of claim which he omits while filing earlier application. What is to be underlined is that the provision of CPC cannot be applied to the matters falling under the Act in view of fact that being a special law, a specific procedure is provided. Therefore, the provisions of Order 2, Rule 2 CPC do not attract in the matters under the Act. However, where the Act is silent on matters relating to procedure for the trial of the case, the procedure provided by the CPC may be adopted to regulate the proceedings. After amendment in the rules in the year 1999, an eldest married daughter of a deceased government officer is made entitled to draw her share in monthly family pension till her marriage. The rules further provided that in case the eldest daughter marries or dies, the next eldest unmarried daughter of deceased will become entitled to draw her share out of family pension till her marriage. Conclusion. The object of summary trial provided by the Act is to shorten the course of trial in order to ensure that justice is delivered swiftly so as to facilitate an applicant. It is not a final and conclusive decision between the parties or those who are entitled to get their share from the leftover property of deceased, where the court considers that a question of title is involved which cannot be disposed summarily. It may refuse to grant a certificate. Provisions of CPC cannot be applied to matters falling under the Act. An eldest unmarried daughter of a deceased government is made entitled to draw her share in a monthly family pension till her marriage. In short, इसमें वो कहता है कि ये जो सक्सेशन सर्टिफिकेट है वो इसका मकसद यही है कि समरी प्रोसीजर कर दिया जाए ताकि फौरी तौर पर पता चल जाए कि जो किसका कितने लीगल हेयर्स हैं और किसका कितना शेयर बनता है. अगर वो फौरी तौर पर नहीं हो सकता तो फिर कोर्ट जो है वो उसका रिफ्यूजल कर सकती है और फिर वो सीपीसी के तहत ही जो प्रॉपर सूट फाइल है वो तकसीम का दावा प्रॉपर्टी के लिए वो फाइल किया जाएगा. Facts. Disciplinary proceedings were initiated against a civil servant for willful absence, unauthorized foreign travel, and submission of a fabricated medical certificate. The department imposed penalty of reduction to a lower post from Deputy District Attorney BPS 18 to Assistant District Attorney BPS 17 for a period of 4 years. This penalty was overturned by the Service Tribunal on appeal, which was challenged in the Supreme Court. Does the regularization of absence as extraordinary leave without pay nullify the misconduct charges and penalty imposed. Was the tribunal justified in deciding the matter without addressing the merits of the case? What is the standard for proving misconduct in departmental inquiries under special laws? What is the scope of service tribunal's authority in altering penalties imposed by the competent authority? Analysis: if the act of willful absence or leave without sanction or traveling without the approval of ex-Pakistan leave is treated lightly, it will become a hobby for willful absence rather than an act of misconduct. Thus, merely treating the period of absence without pay in cases where punishments are imposed by the competent authority other than dismissal, removal from service, neither exonerate the respondent from the charge of misconduct nor the act of misconduct is vanished or on this count alone. No doubt a lawsuit is bound to collapse when there is no rational basis on which the claim could succeed. A case deems to have been decided on the merits when the decision or order is founded on fundamental issues with due consideration of the defense and the probability and prudence of evidence, both oral and documentary. We are at loss to understand how the learned tribunal decided the matter without touching upon the merits of the case and why it did not, after considering the merits, decide the appeal, which was its prime duty under the law. In service appeals challenging minor or major penalties imposed upon the civil servants, the core issues is to evaluate the gravity of charges and the proof of the guilt of the delinquent during the inquiry. But without adverting to the inquiry proceeding and report, it would not be possible for the learned tribunal to reach a just and proper conclusion. A meticulous and assiduous reading of the Service Tribunal Acts, both federal and provincial, unequivocally shows that the Service Tribunal is empowered to confirm, set aside, vary, or modify the order appealed against, and for the purpose of deciding an appeal. It is also deemed to be a civil court with the same powers as those vested in the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. However, the award of appropriate punishment under the law is primarily the function of the concerned administrative authority, and the role of the tribunal is secondary. Conclusion: the regularization of absence does not nullify the misconduct charges or penalty imposed. The tribunal was not just in deciding the matter without addressing the merit of the case. The tribunal must evaluate the inquiry proceeding and report to reach a just and proper conclusion in service appeals. The primary function of awarding punishment lies with the administrative authority, while the tribunal's role is secondary. Facts: the petitioners working under the Provincial Special Education Department claimed health allowance parity with devolved employees transferred under the 18th Amendment. Despite the allowance being reinstated for devolved employees through judicial directives and subsequent notification, the petitioner appeals for similar benefits were dismissed by the Service Tribunal. Issues: what was the purpose of enacting the Health Personnel Scheme Ordinance 2011? What is the definition of health personnel under Section 2, Subclass B of the Health Personnel Scheme Ordinance 2011, and who is excluded from such a definition? What is the objective of health personnel scheme as outlined in Section 4 of the ordinance? What were the legal consequences of stopping the payment of health allowance to health service institutions? What conditions must be met for classification of persons to satisfy the standards of intelligible differentia and fairness? What are the limits and grounds for judicial review of decisions or actions taken by a public body? Health Personnel Scheme Ordinance 2011 ordinance was enacted to regulate the appointment to and the terms and conditions of the services of health personnel and was made applicable to all health personnel serving in the federal health institutions and related organizations under the federal government of Pakistan. According to Section 2, Definition Clause B of Ordinance, health personnel means a person who holds a post in any institute or organization delivering services in the health sector and is included in Schedule 1 but does not include a person who is in deputation or to the federal government from any province or other authority to a person who is employed on contract or on work charge basis or who is paid from contingencies. Section 4 of the ordinance delineates the objective of the scheme, according to which career growth of health professionals has been linked with enhancement in professional education and skills through training, continuing education, higher qualifications, professional experience, research papers, and performance as per prescribed criteria laid down by the relevant regulatory bodies from time to time where applicable. The Prime Minister of Pakistan had approved the payment of health allowance to the institutions providing health service equal to one basic pay of salary. However, when this payment was stopped for certain reasons, litigation ensued, which was ultimately resolved by judgment dated 17/1/2018 passed by the Supreme Court of Pakistan in the case of Federation of Pakistan through Secretary Capital Administration and Development Division, Islamabad and others versus Nusrat Tahir and others, 2018 PLC CS 669. Persons may be classified into groups and such groups may be treated differently if there is reasonable basis for such difference. At the same time, the principle of equality does not imply or cannot that every law must have universal application to all class of persons. In fact, the oscillating or wavering needs of dissimilar sets of persons which may have little in common can be treated differently on logical perspicacity. However, for such classification to meet the standards of fairness, the self-actualization of two vital constituents must be fulfilled. First, the classification must be founded on an intelligible differentia which may judiciously distinguish persons or things that are grouped together from others left out of the group. And second, the differential must have logical and sensible nexus with the object sought to be achieved. Under the sphere of judicial review, the court may review the lawfulness of decision or action made by a public body. The court may invalidate laws, acts, and governmental actions that are incompatible with a higher authority, though the power of judicial review of a government policy is now well settled, in which neither the court can act or represent as an appellate authority with the aim of structuring the rightness or aptness of a policy, nor may it act as an advisor to executive on matters of policy which they are entitled to formulate, but this can be sought when a decision maker fails to observe statutory procedure, misdirects itself in law exercise, or power wrongly, improperly purports exercise health power that it does not have, or the policy decision was Walaikum Assalam, so unreasonable that no reasonable authority could ever have come to it. Health Personal Scheme Ordinance 2011 was enacted to regulate the appointment to and the terms and condition of the service of health personnel. The matter was resolved by judgment reported 2018 PLC CS 669.